It's all in his hands. We are going to always come out. We are always going to come out to where we didn't think we could come out. We have to get in line. We have to know this is how things are going to intertwine. This is how things are going to come to form. It's going to form a clause to where it's going to win applause. Hallelujah. We have to know where we're trying to go if we want to go. Y'all, we can't just go. We have to know how we're going to go, why we're going to go, when we're going to go. God wants to let us know what we didn't know that now we know. We have to see what is developing, y'all. What is forming? Is that a face forming? Or is that just Facebook forming, y'all? Here, we have to see what it is to see that we didn't think we needed to see. We have to be able to proceed. We have to be able to succeed. We have to plant that seed. Y'all, if we don't plant a seed, then we're going to not even know how to even proceed into the mode that God wants us to go. And instead, if we just focus on our own mode, we're going to end up molding. We have to know how to win God's approval. We have to know how to win God's access granted mode to where you've already passed the code. You've already passed the interview. That's a test of your faith to where now you don't have to even worry about knowing what you had complications with, because God just approved. He approved of what you had disapproval upon. God was able to fill in the gap. God was able not to zap you, because you were able to examine yourself to get you out of that mountain. Y'all, when you address that mountain just flees, because that mountain doesn't want to be addressed. It's not used to being addressed, putting on a dress. We have to form an address. We have to know how to write that address. We have to know how to write each number so we will know how to match the numbers to what God says. We have to be able to match the bingo numbers. Y'all, when we call out a number, it's got to match with what number God called out. We have to let God open new doors for us. If we don't let God open doors, we're not going to know how to be able to get past that door. Today I talked about relationships and marriages. There's many relationships that fail because you never fully understood how to be single long enough. Relationships will fail because it's the ingredients that you brought together to form inside the criteria of the internal experience that you made it. What you bring inside the melting pot is going to tend to get hot. It's going to get too hot if you put too much in there that's not destined to be in there. An unsuccessful relationship will lead to you having one good egg and one bad egg. Or, in another scenario, it'll have one bad egg with another bad egg, where the two will bump faces, to where when you look at those two face values, you're going to see how both of the face values were not compatible, to where now you have to bring an issue to the surface to make a point. Because if you don't bring the issue to the surface, then you're going to fall on top of the surface. You're going to fall head first, to where now you're going to be the tail instead of the head. Women want you men to be the head of this relationship. You need to be so inclined with the Word of God that you are following the scriptures, to where women are going to see that new white garment of praise on your face, what trace that you just left. Man, you must ascend to the level of the women's dignity. And y'all actually want to start in a scripture. God's like, put the brakes now, and let's start now. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3 reads, But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Under every man is Christ. Hello. Under every woman is the man. Hello. That's me. Not you women. It's the man. The man is going to keep everything out of the can. The man is going to let the woman burst out of that whale sardine can in triumph, because they're going to realize that the man is not after their appearance, but they're after, more importantly, their character. Because when you stick to character, when character steers that car, you're going to be able to get far in God. You will be able to see that when you not focus on the outward appearance, you will not focus on a lost cause where God will need to put a care to it. So many relationships don't work out because men think, oh, if a woman doesn't wear makeup, then I really don't love her for her. When truly they say they love her, but they don't. You're making imaginations take over the wheel to where it's not going to make you steal, it's going to make you unstable. Where you're going to just be pouring out these written fables that's going to be letting you run off emotional fumes, emotional instability, to where no wonder why you're in emotional pain, because you brought on no gain. You brought on this suffering. So suffer. Suffer for this, because you made it this. If a woman is only beautiful because she gives it to you the way you want her to give it to you as a one-night stand in the bedroom, then you might as well get hit with the broom, y'all. You are infatuated, and you're letting emotional affection and infatuation have its place on top of your face, leaving a folly and carnally trace. You will maintain your character if you first maintain your character in meeting God's protocols, man. Man, you must ascend to the level of a woman's dignity. You must raise a woman's expectations up, making her feel like a trophy. That is the job of you men. You need to let her feel like whatever you say goes, because this is going to be the show. You are showing a woman that you have backbone, you have strength. You will be able to let her put her face down against you as she is using you as her shade of protection. Similar to the same way God authorizes his full protection plan. By giving a woman a hug through a horrible day that she may have experienced, now you're putting a care to that experience. You let her know there's new experiences that are yet to come, but I will definitely make you feel comfortable. I will let you know that this is just the beginning, because there is more to the table that I want to offer you, because this is how much I love you. I want you to know that I got rid of winter weather and wanted to replace it so I can face summertime woman. If your lover is in the room, the temperature will rise no matter if the self-esteem was low to begin with. It'll rise. Y'all, it'll feel like you just won a prize. You need to let a woman feel that you have got her and she has got you into a place to where y'all are both in agreement and not in disagreement. Everything has a place and a value that is going to measure up to God's values. When a woman even feels in defeat, you can even massage her feet to where you will now let God be a lamp unto your feet, because God knows that you two are compatible. You two that line up to what God has said to line up towards, then you truly could love a woman no matter how her appearance looks. Man, you must be a woman's shade of the place she finds comfort in the midst of a storm. Because then you will know how to be nice fruit that now she can eat. She can eat of a nice blessing that God has put upon her. A man of God can truly change the thermostat reading of a woman's character. So men, if you're able to take charge and to know and let the woman know she's not the only one that is a part of this relationship, she will realize you do have a place, you do have a goal that you are wanting to set, so it will be placed even better than a bed. God will give you doors to open as long as you open it for the right woman to come in, so it will not have access to sin. You need to avoid messing with God's restriction, because then you remove your freedom that you had with your girl or your man. I'm going to close out here in Genesis chapter 3, verses 6 to 7. And the Word of God says, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat." Verse 7, "And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons." This is going back to the story of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve both ate the forbidden fruit. This was abomination to the Lord, because the Lord let them know that you cannot eat from a certain tree. A certain tree was forbidden for any human being to eat from it. Now man and woman, such as Adam and Eve, are destined to die once they live a life of an expiration date that will soon expire, because they gave life to that expiration date from not listening to God's will by not eating. This was abomination to the Lord, because the Lord let them know that you cannot eat from a certain tree. A certain tree was forbidden for any human being to eat from it. Now man and woman, such as Adam and Eve, are destined to die once they live a life of an expiration date that will soon expire, because they gave life to that expiration date from not listening to God's will by not eating from the forbidden tree. Now they're going to be a tree that comes to ruin. This is how they messed up with God's restrictions. You may be setting yourself for one tree that you may not be authorized to mess with. Let's go to verse 3 in Genesis 3. "But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. So this is what I'm referring to. This was the result of why Adam and Eve became naked. Because they just shook up things. They just shook things up into their own likeness, their own understanding, but it didn't tie into God's understanding, because they wanted to have self-ownership, to be able to self-own and define their own lives. But instead, the result now is they will not survive forever, because they failed. They failed in giving God His saying, keeping His truth. They were using their own truth, Adam and Eve, that was predicated on a lie, to where now they are hidden forever and ever in this disguise. Y'all, we have to stop accepting every prize that's given to us. Because if we do that, we're going to take life for granted, to where we're just going to continue to accept granted in our hands that may not be the granted God has for us. Y'all, granted to us a lot of times isn't granted to God. But we need to be able to flip the script, y'all. We need to be able to flip the tables and get stable in God, so we will be able to have Him accept and grant our requests. Instead of us acting like a pest, we need to pass the test. If you're in relationships and things don't start to shift through to get you through the water, to get you farther, then that ship is going to sink and you're going to start to stink. If you're not married yet, count your blessings and give to the testings of being single again and ready to mingle again. Single will help you maximize your completeness inside the will of God. It will let you realize, God, I know I'm on level 1 status, but if this is the pre-existing status that stands, then I will stand, because you told me to stand on this truth. You told me to stand on this property. So, if you don't view yourself as a finishing product, then you will see you as incompatible single. So you have to focus on the root of what is making you be single, in contrast to being in a relationship. You need to realize, what is making me not be a good single? What is making me not be able to identify myself from the spiritual level, but instead from the physical? What is making me not think high and above, but instead to a lower height? Well, it's because there's some things in your singleness and being single that you haven't singled out. There's some components and certain processing compartments inside of your internal reality, inside your spirit, that you haven't casted out. You haven't casted out those burdens enough to let God heal your brokenheartedness. You haven't got down to prayer to where God could have put that care to the care of God's care. You have to let God throw away certain compartments and dispose of it to be able to bring new ones in, to where you will now be healed. Your broken light bulb will be healed of your brokenness, to where now it will be replaced with a new light bulb, to where now you will think to God's likings, to where He will put an increase, to where now you will know how to put the decrease, because you will see how God moved. So now you will move away from being an incomplete single, to where you will be able to accept that this is the finishing product and touch that God put because he touched me, so now I shall touch him, to where I will continue to live